I think we all agreed that this was going to be a big banana skin for Josh Warrington. It proved to be that, as Luis Alberto Lopez becomes the new IBF featherweight champion, winning it by majority decision here at the First Direct Arena. Mike Costelli, Barry Jones. Gents, right man win. How did you guys score it?
I actually had it level, which I never like doing that.
Controversial.
It's controversial. I did, yeah. And so I got no argument with the winner, to be fair. I think it was that sort of fight. I thought it was close and hardly fought. And again, I think the more purchasing the punches came from Lopez throughout the fight. But then Warrington also, you know, with his work rate and work ethic and those straight shots, especially in the later rounds, you know, pulled it back a little bit.
I thought that Lopez really banked those sort of points early, especially with the body shots. Seemed to really hurt, I thought, Warrington. I heard him go back to the corner and tell his trainer that he felt those body shots. And
yeah,
he almost won this first half of the fight just because of that, didn't he? And in the second half, Warrington tried to claw it back, but there just wasn't enough rounds left to claw.
No. And I thought that was part of the impressive performance from Lopez. He'd never been the championship distance, and yet he still looked strong towards the end. Although Tony gave Lopez, I think it was 5 of the first 8 rounds. I can't quite remember, but he gave Warrington all of the last 4, which I did. And as Warrington's dad said in the corner, that's what world champions are made of. But still, Lopez was in the fight enough to hang on, to get through to the points.
I'm trying to do my maths on your calculations. So did you have Lopez winning it 115, 113 as well? Did you have it a draw?
I didn't score it round by round by round because for technical reasons it's not easily to do as the commentator because of messages in earphones and that sort of thing. But my overriding impression was that the more eye-catching work was done by Lopez, and I have no arguments with the verdict, nor do I with Barry or Tony Bellew having it a draw, as did one of the judges. But I would say also there's been a lot of criticism of British boxing and British boxing officials across this year in particular, but it goes back a long time, about the foreign fighters never getting a fair shake. John Ryder against Daniel Jacobs, Kubrat Pulev against Eric Chisora, and more recently Dillian White against Jermaine Franklin. And basically this theme developing that if ever you come to Britain, and in particularly on a matchroom show, you're never going to get the call, so don't bother coming. Well, tonight, you know, the right man, in the view of most, got the call. Yeah, and that surprised some, especially when it's that close, right? That you're going to not give it to Josh in his home turf. But I thought Lopez did enough to win that. Yeah, it sort of felt that way. But you know, you tend to, there's this myth about you have to rip the title away from the champion. Well, then it's a disadvantage and it's a bias towards the champion because then he's already 2 rounds ahead before the fight starts. So every round is at its own merit. So it's not the champion versus the challenger. It's red corner versus blue corner, and the card goes to the main official, and the judges score the next round as if it was 2 new fighters. So I tell people a 12-round fight is 12 one-round fights in a judge's mind. Yeah. That's how he has to. That's why scores can be. You know, when you do, otherwise you give every round's really close. And if you give 3 to Mike, well, I better give Barry 1 because everyone's been really close and I give them all to him. They don't go there. That's why some close fights can be massively wide on the scorecards. I think they got it about right. I do. And if it would have been the other way to Josh, I wouldn't have really screamed about that either. Because I had it 1-1 fight. I couldn't have because I had it a draw. So that's how I seen it. And I don't look at my card when I'm scoring a fight. Like again, it's difficult when you're commentating and scoring. But I sort of hide my card for myself. Because it's surprising how you score the fight to how you see it. It can be 2 different things. But actually, how I scored it was roughly how I felt I had it. Yeah, Mike, you asked a question to Josh in the ring about whether or not he wants to continue. Was that a case of whether he can get up to kind of having to go through a few guys to get a world title, or because you think there's not enough left? First of what you said there, but also a bit of the second as well. Because he's lost his title, or relinquished the title, then had the defeat against Mauricio Lara and has had to come through that grind of getting back to winning the title again. And it's just whether he's prepared to drop down the queue to force his way back into world title contention again. And also because he had these grand dreams of going to the United States. And that's really shattering, you know, physically, mentally. It's going to be a really difficult few days and weeks for Josh Warrington. And I always remember, a number of fighters have said it to me, but I had a long conversation once with Paulie Malignaggi in New York about how as you get older and there are family concerns and others to take into account when you're making a call like that, sometimes that can have a real effect on what kind of call you make. You might want to make a selfish call that suits you, but there are others to consider now, and Josh is in that position.
Yeah, what do you think he does, Barry? Obviously a long rest.
It's hard. What Mike just said there, let me just say, I retired at 25, 26, but it was the reason being because I knew I wouldn't get to world level again, and I didn't want to box any level below. I just couldn't face it.
Yeah.
So what am I going to do? Josh will get to world. He's still world class, but does he want to go in as the B side? Financially for him now, that trip to Vegas, he would still get it, but it's massively reduced in his wage packet. And the same with Lee Woods. That City ground fight can still happen, but he goes in the B side now all of a sudden. So that's a big mind change. The money's different, everything's different. You haven't got that bargaining chip of that world belt. So I don't know what he does. He's had a long, hard career, and that it's been harder in the latter part than it was in the early part. And I think that might be a sign of maybe he might want to think, I've had a great career, and this might be it.
Look, whatever he does next, I think we saw tonight the Leeds fans will travel and they'll go and support him because that's what they do for Josh Warrington. It wasn't really a year of the upsets, was it? We didn't have upsets like we did in 2021, but right at the depth of the year, I think it's fair to say we got somewhat of an upset this evening. 2022 was really good for boxing. I think 2023 is going to be even better, so make sure you stay tuned to DAZN. For myself, from Mike Costello, from Barry Jones, have a good Christmas, enjoy it, and have a good New Year as well.